Good morning and welcome to week 3. You can see that we are beginning in the weekly assignment area, and I'm going to scroll down to week 3. And what pops out at you should be that your culturally sensitive reflection is due this Tuesday. Materials that you read and reviewed last week should help you in preparing this document. This week, you should be sure to read chapters 6 and 14 in your motto book, post to the discussion board, as well as review this video with me. So let's click on resources, and we're going to come to a PowerPoint about the affective domain. And this, of course, is very important as well when considering your culturally sensitive classroom. How do you address the affective domain, and what strategies do you use? So let's start with a dictionary definition. The affective domain has to do with expressing emotion and feeling. And this ties in to the child's global self-concept. This is the perception or belief that a person has about him or herself. The sense of being that we possess is a blend of attributes, values, and behaviors. And this is established fairly early in our lives. By the time a child is 8 or 9, this global self-concept has been developed. This also ties in with self-esteem, our self-acceptance, and our worth. How do people value and like themselves as well as they perceive that others value and like them? But self-esteem is based on more than value. There's competency, the belief that one is able to accomplish tasks and goals. And I think you will see how important that is in your classroom. Control is the degree to which individuals feel that they can influence outcomes and events in the world. So think of how a child sometimes feels, or an adult for that matter, helpless in this aspect. Self-efficacy is the judgment one has about his ability to produce an effect or to learn a concept or skill. One needs to be emotionally smart, and that means you need to have self-awareness, you need to be aware of your emotions, and you need to know how to monitor them. You need to manage your emotions, to calm yourself, to control your emotions, but you also need to be motivated. And you need to recognize emotions of others and know how to exhibit empathy. And how do you handle relationships with others? One needs to possess the quality of resiliency. This is a key component of self-esteem and control. The power or ability to return to the original form, position, after being bent, compressed, or stretched is the definition we use. The ability to recover from an illness or depression or adversity. How does one bounce back? For children, we need to build more opportunities for this resiliency. They need to be able to modify difficult behavior without saying, oh, what you're doing is okay. We need to tell children and teach them to be more effective problem solvers. They need to know how to express their feelings and how to build rapport within the classroom. We need to have some concept of what's going on outside the classroom in our children's lives and why they react and behave in the way that they do. How can we establish effective teaching strategies? Well, we want them to be emotionally supportive with a low stress environment. This doesn't mean that everything is acceptable. It means that we will design activities in which the primary purpose is to teach children to use the various tools and equipment available to them in the classroom. We need to set up activities that children can follow following a procedure and reach those steps. Students should be assigned classroom jobs and given the opportunity to do them effectively. Children should be part of that planning process. We also need to use scaffolding techniques so that we can challenge the student to perform tasks beyond what they can do on their own. We can enhance this sense of autonomy by giving them frequent opportunities to make choices and decisions. We need to take advantage of those teachable moments and teach them to use positive statements. We need to incorporate that all-important concept of wait time, giving children enough time to make up their mind. And then they need to accept responsibility for those decisions. While choices are good and we should provide them, we shouldn't provide so many choices that it becomes confusing. Children also need to develop standards, and they need to be able to be honest in evaluating their accomplishments. So our goals are to make it possible for children or our students to use materials independently, to help them to develop a greater understanding, to promote emotional awareness and a sense of worth, and to be sure that they meet the age-appropriate expectations for self-discipline. We need to support them as they learn, and we need to also pay attention to disabilities. And we want those children to also develop autonomy. So perhaps this information also ties in to your assignment this week. As we look at the discussion board for this week, you will notice that that certainly ties in. Reflect upon the idea of culturally sensitive feedback in the classroom, and how can you ensure for this practice during instruction. So don't just parrot back what we've got in the PowerPoint, but rather think about your own classroom or, again, from your readings, and what can you do in your own classroom, or what do you do to ensure that this is the case. When you are ready to submit your work for this week, be sure to click on this submissions area. It is here where you have the assignment ready to submit, following these instructions. If you've not written a reflection before, I provide a very nice format for you. And when you take a look at this, let me get it open for you. What is a reflection paper? This is the opportunity for you to critically engage and connect. Now, you are not dealing with one particular passage, but with a concept. Now, you may find some materials that will help you in this reflection, and you may use them, providing you provide the proper documentation. So, although this is not a formal research paper, you do need to have a structure. So before you read about cultural sensitivity, make sure you take notes of anything that has had an impact on you as you're ready to write. Keep these questions in your mind. Provide examples to support your ideas. You can summarize the points of others, But remember, this is your reflection, not just a summary of what you've read. So, think back, step back, and remember the primary goal of writing a reflective response. The secondary goal is for you to put in writing what you've learned. Just 2 elements. You do not have to discuss everything. Sometimes less is more. Quality over quantity. Good luck, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.